You're listening to Until They Sleep, a podcast where two parents finally get to sit down and discuss all the different things that run through their heads every day because their four kids are finally asleep. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to Until They Sleep. I'm Chantel, joined by my husband, Daniel.
Hello, everyone.
And so last episode, we want to apologize. I think we sounded a little droll and kind of out of it. I don't know.
I don't know.
You haven't heard the final product.
No.
So, yeah, when I was editing, I was just like, gosh, why do we sound so slow and out of it? Is it just because we're tired? A little bit of illness?
Well, I know I've been going through a cough for like a couple of days and
seemingly endless.
Yeah, and I wasn't feeling like confident because I didn't know if I was just going to start coughing out of nowhere. You know, it's things that happen.
Okay.
But yeah, I haven't listened to it. I haven't had a chance. I didn't get notified that it was out or anything like that. So I honestly, I was like, I've been waiting for my alert, and I haven't gotten any alerts.
Oh, well, I don't know what's happened, but it was posted.
I saw the post on Instagram, and I was like, oh, it should be going up, but I never got my typical alerts.
Your notifications.
Yeah.
I guess if nobody else is getting notifications, please let us know. We are kind of been dragging our feet a little.
Well, it's not dragging. It's just our schedule has been so hectic and so crazy with now both boys playing football and the kids' school, like all four kids going to school in different schedules. And
so much homework.
And work and, people getting sick and getting a cold and me dealing with my knees. And, it's just been, doctor appointments and...
Yeah, it's just busy. It's just life stuff.
Yeah, it's just life. Just things that come out of nowhere.
It makes it hard to focus on this.
Yeah, working extra.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
overtime.
That means no sleep.
Yeah, so it's been crazy, and sometimes the weekends are just kind of like more like trying to catch up or trying to catch up on sleep, rest, or things that have been
vegging
neglected.
Out and doing nothing.
I like them, but like I said before, I feel guilty afterwards.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody. Well, I don't know about everybody, but I'm sure most people feel guilty about doing nothing on the weekend.
Right.
I think it's maybe single people who just don't feel guilty about it. I think it's more parents who've got things to do and are just used to being busy all the time.
Yeah. I feel bad for the kids sometimes when we're like that because I know they're probably bored, but it seems like they enjoy it also.
Well, because we try to get the kids out of the house every now and then, like on a Saturday. It's like, hey, let's go for a hike, or hey, there's this event going on. Do you guys want to go to that? Nah, we just kind of want to stay home and do nothing because they get tired of just being busy all week as well. It's got to be exhausting,
right,
for them as well. So, anyways, we were kind of throwing ideas around about what we wanted to talk about, and the kids talk to us about the things that they think they know or the things they think they understand and are so wise about. And so that's just something that I kind of wanted to talk about, this whole, idea of the things we...
Thinking over knowing.
The things we think we know versus the things we actually know, like being wise. And then
especially with teenagers, right?
Yes. And then even little kids, because our daughters have very big feelings. So that's another part of it, is like feeling something aside from like knowing that it's like something factual, but it's just like a whole gambit of emotions and ideas. Talking to the kids on a regular basis, and even adults for that matter. You've got adults who think they know things and then they spout stuff that sounds really dumb, and I'm sure we're guilty of it sometimes. Versus people who are just like wise, and they always just say really cool things that sound so intelligent.
Well, I guess that's one of those things where you're willing to take it, right? Because of maybe the way that they're coming across, or they're talking to you in a way that you appreciate or understand. So it's easier for you to accept that
I suppose.
knowledge.
Like that whole authority thing.
Yeah, but then if they come across too parenty, too strict, too like if it feels more like a lecture, not like advice, then you're kind of more like you're more shut off by it.
Well, I guess the biggest example would be our teenagers, right? Well, we can use the eldest because he's the one who talks to me the most. And, I'm a mom and I like to interject, and even with adults, I interject my ideas and my thoughts, and during conversations. And sometimes he'll be like, Mom, God, I know. Or can you just let me finish telling you how I feel about this or what I think about this? And I'm like, sorry. Like but in my head, the whole time he's speaking, it sounds ridiculous. Like what he's saying, like in my head, I'm just going through this whole, like, he's young. He doesn't understand. Just
Because he's
let
telling
it
you what he
go.
thinks.
Yes, he's telling me what he thinks or how he feels about something.
But you as a parent, that what he's thinking doesn't make sense
It
or it's
does,
not the right
exactly.
stuff. So that's what you're kind of like going with this, right?
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah, like, gosh, I don't know how to. Do I just let him have his bad thoughts or not? And they're not bad thoughts. I shouldn't say that they're bad thoughts. Do I just let him have his teenage thoughts without correcting him or teaching him the facts? Let him live in this delusional world that most teenagers live in. This because they're so emotional right now. They live in like this dream state of how the world is in their heads versus how it really is.
I mean, I think we all went through that phase when we're kids, right? I mean, we did it too.
Yeah,
like, when
but
we're kids, we see things differently. But as we become older, we become mature, and we've lived enough and experienced enough that's when the knowledge kicks in, right?
yeah, but I feel like, is it wrong of me to interject facts about a certain situation or give him different, like this is another thing he's told me. Like he'll give me a story and I'll give him a different scenario or maybe even a third scenario. And now I've just confused the crap out of him and he's just uber frustrated because now I've given him too many things to think about. And I don't know. I'm like, chill out. Like, I don't understand why he got mad about that.
I think. Okay, there's the word. It's the word of the day. I think.
What do you think?
I think that sometimes as parents, like you're saying, what do you do, right? So I think as parents, sometimes we have to kind of walk side by side with them and guide them and show them how to do things, or so not fall down and make mistakes. But then I also think that there's those very few parents who are more of the let them learn by their mistakes.
You think there's too few or too many?
I think there's too many of the parents that are kind of like how you said it before, like hovering over them.
Okay.
Trying to help them out along the way too much, which is not a bad thing, right?
Overwhelming.
Right.
Like maybe giving them different scenarios is overwhelming to their teenage.
For their little head, yeah, for their little mind. They're like our kid. You just said it. He's like a one lane kind of person, right? He's only thinking about one path. And then when you give him an option of another one, of here you are.
Like I just blew his mind.
Yeah,
and he
like,
can't.
here's a
handle
Y.
it.
Here's a Y intersection. Like it could be this way, but what if you make it this way? Like what if it's this point of view? And they're like, oh, okay, and they're trying to process that because in their mind they're set on their beliefs, right? But now you add a third option. Now you're creating a fork for them, right? Because now you're like, oh, because there's the way that he was thinking about it. There's this option, there's that option, and now there's the reality. So now it's like a fork, right? It's like, oh, and it's too much for them to process.
Yeah, but is it wrong to do that?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, you have to be intellectual about it, right? It's part of expanding their brain and the procedure.
That's
of
how
thinking.
I see it. I see it as, you hear your kid saying nonsense, and you know it's nonsense because you lived it, right?
Right.
It's not like you're talking out of your ass and you're saying something that you don't understand because you've never had that experience. Like, if I had never had that experience, I would get it, right? But I was a teenager and I made mistakes, lots of mistakes, right? And I see him, and he's definitely not raised the same way we were. If
Right.
anything, he's way more sheltered than we were when we were growing up.
Correct.
And so for him to spout some of the things he spouts now as an adult in my wisdom, right?
Right.
In my adult wisdom, after living life,
Baby, you're trying too hard.
I know, I'm trying too hard, but
Bruh, you're trying too hard.
he'll just say just things that don't make sense. And I will try to, in my experience, give him a scenario, not trying to tell him he's wrong, but just trying to help guide him into a different thought process to help him better understand the situation or the scenario that he's talking about. And it just overwhelms his brain and he gets mad that I've now made him think about something else.
Yeah, but see, so he's thinking, and you're dropping knowledge on him, and
Yeah,
that's
that he's
something
not
that
ready
comes with
for.
life. Yeah, it's knowledge, right? So when you're talking about our son, our oldest one, and I have conversations with him too, right? And I tell him stuff, and so I had an explanation, let's say, with the football, and I was like, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's going to help you down the road. Make sure that you make your grades, right? Make sure that you're not slacking in school and your chores and everything. Because I'm telling them from my knowledge, from what I've learned, from what I experienced, so I don't want them to make the same mistakes I made.
And what you lived, right? Because you also played football and
Right.
you had a lot of responsibilities at that age on top of a bunch of other things.
Right, and this is just a simple example, right? And so I tell him this, but he thinks that I don't know what I'm talking about, right? In his mind, he's like, "What? He doesn't know," I think that's a common kid thing, right? I think
Yeah.
I did it as a child too. That maybe my dad gave me some advice, and I was like, "He doesn't know. What does he know? Like there's different times, He doesn't know what it's like today, right?" And then you grow up, and then you become a father, and then you realize that your father was giving you knowledge, and now you're repeating that cycle, right? It's there. So it's just funny now that you realize, and that's the difference, right, between thinking and knowing. So, and that's why I'm saying sometimes, do you want to walk hand in hand with your child and try to just advise them on everything and overwatch everything that they're doing and try to help them out? Or is it one of those things where, okay, I give you the advice and you think you know better, then you figure it out and learn, and then when you make the mistake, learn from it.
As a parent, you know your kid. Like, if you pay attention to your, because there's lots of parents out there who don't know their kids. But if you're a parent who's paying attention to your kid, you know your kid. You know their habits. You know what they're likely to do, the way they're likely to think about something, the things they're likely to say on certain situations. And because of that, you give advice or you expect things from them. You spit out facts based on all that information. And then you get that fight from them, or oh, you don't know what you're talking about, that I got this, blah, 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 blah. I think he was talking about a friend and something that the friend texted. And so he's like, Mom, what the heck does this mean? And I'm like, what do you think it means? And so he'll tell me that he thinks it means more than I think it means. So then I give him a different scenario on that. Like, they're just saying, hi, buddy. Like, don't read into it so much. It's literally just a hello. Like, there's nothing for you to read into that message. No, but why would they write it this way? And why would they say it this way? And I'm like, seriously, dude, don't read into it. Like, it literally means nothing. I'm telling
just
you.
Wishful thinking that is more than what it should have been. Yeah.
It's really, and then they get mad
I'm
because I
guilty
say
of
it's
it.
nothing.
I'm guilty of it. Sometimes I'm like, man, they looked at me kind of weird. I think they don't like me. I think.
Oh yeah, you do that a lot.
I was like,
I'm guilty of it too.
Like expression. I was like, what's up with that person? Fuck that person. That's it. I hate them.
I'm guilty of that too. Like at work,
Yeah.
If people are acting, you think they're being weird towards you, and you just feel like a weird vibe, but maybe it's just you creating that weird vibe,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know what they're
But
thinking.
I am batting 100%, so I mean, I haven't been wrong so far.
Let's see. Our 12-year-old, he's pretty good at facts. Like, we can give him facts and he'll be okay with the facts, and he'll actually process that a little better. Even though right now he's entering that funky tween teen stage where he's just gotten really weird sometimes with his responses and the things he says and comes out of his mouth, where you're just like, I'm not even going to acknowledge what just came out of your mouth because it makes absolutely no sense. That it doesn't even warrant an answer. So you just kind of let them get past that weird stage before you try to correct them, I guess. No?
Well, I don't know. He's always been the same to me. So I mean, he is changing. He's
He's
getting
a
more
lot.
quiet. He's always very talkative. He was, and lately I do see some of that teenage stuff coming up. I think, yeah, I think it's just hormones right now. I think it's just the hormones changing on him.
Gosh, it's so different on him than it was on the older one. It's crazy how different they are. And our 8-year-old now, she's all emotion. She's all feeling.
Yeah, she's very passionate.
And when you give her facts, she loves facts, but she overthinks the facts. So she'll question something, and then you'll explain it to her, and then she totally like deep dives and overthinks. Like,
To me,
she
what I'm
asks,
thinking about her is just like everything right now is all Native American to her right now. Everything, I don't know what she's learning in class right now, but
oh, that's something different.
she's everything to her right now is all Native, and then she wants
That's just
to
this last week.
do a dance and do a ritual and want to thank the animals for their sacrifices.
Okay, so
and,
in school they're learning a Native American song for choir,
okay,
and she's just on this whole wanting to know more about Native Americans trip because of this song issue. And she memorized that song in like a day. And she's trying to make me learn it, and she wants to learn it on the piano. And so she wants to know. So she's asking for facts. She's giving us her opinion, what she thinks about what she understands. And then we're telling her what the facts are about what she's asking. And then she just goes off the deep end with it.
so I guess she's more thirsty for knowledge.
She's thirsty for
to,
knowledge.
She wants to know everything about it as much as she can, so she should be educated and make her point of views and speak of something.
But her feelings are so intense about it that I think it overshadows some of her ability to express her understanding. Like, she gets very emotional. She starts to like break down crying and wanting to know why the Native Americans had to die. And then it's like a whole conversation of, the cowboys weren't the only ones who killed people. The natives killed each other as well. And the Spanish killed the natives, and they killed each other. And the French killed the Spanish. And it's like everyone has killed everyone in history. So don't overthink it. It's not just...
Yeah, it's not one way.
It's not just one way. But that's,
she's a little girl. And
she's
learning.
only 8.
So
she's only 8.
She her eyes are being open to learn about. To her world before was just her parents and her house. It was her house, things that were in her house. Mm-hmm. Then she goes out to the world, and there's other children like me, right? And there's other families, and she's amazed by this. And now is at a point where they're teaching her stuff about history, and her little mind is being, just overexposed. It's something that she just, what? So of course she's emotional about it because she thinks about everything. Her foundation was family, and so now it's being expanded, and she's thinking about their families and their loved ones, and that's her level of thought.
Okay,
right? That's how she sees it.
So is it wrong of us to tell her about, don't overthink it, don't get so overly emotional about it, because the whole world's been killing itself forever?
But it's a shocker for her, right?
Is it?
The history of the violence of humanity It's crazy. I
Yeah, but is
mean,
it wrong for us to tell her that? Like, she's just concentrating on the violence against Native Americans because that's what she's learning.
maybe. I mean, maybe it's one of those things that just let her slowly and gradually realize it by herself instead of her being like, "Oh, but guess what? It hasn't always been like that. They did it then, they did it, and they did it, and now
Yeah,
she's being bombarded with too much info, and it's too much for her
which is the
little,
same as the eldest.
yeah,
Too
too
much
much for
info.
her little sensitive heart. You know that she's just like heartbroken by how humanity destroys itself over and over again
Yeah,
because of whatever different language, religion, area that you're from,
yeah.
you know,
I don't know,
and
and that's
that's the
really hard.
knowledge,
It's
right?
really hard for me. I am not a
Well, we all disagree. I mean, you and me disagree, right, on certain things. Like when she comes home and she's like talking about something, and I'm like, no, that's wrong, and oh, you're like, yeah, but this is also wrong. Yeah, but you're also wrong because of this. You know, like you have your point of view, I have my point of view, and she has her point of view. The school has a different point of view,
well,
and
the
I
school's
think
not
that's what
supposed to have a point
yeah,
of view.
but well, they do because the way that they teach is that's their point of view. That's the point of view that they want to continue teaching,
Uh-huh.
right? But some other things are being neglected in the lessons, right? Every story has two sides.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I actually like the way the school teaches
It's
everything.
it's it's but it's like I've told other people, like the victors are the ones that get to write the books,
Yeah,
right? They're the
that's
ones that get to
correct.
tell the stories.
True.
So you don't know what the other ones are, right?
Yeah. You don't know what
It's,
the true
yeah,
story
you
is.
don't know. I mean, there's always stuff behind the scenes. So that's the thing. That's the knowledge, and
Yeah.
that's the thinking,
Yeah.
right?
And I guess that's all part of critical thinking, right? Because
Right.
kids can't critically think, and I know we've
I guess that should be
talked
more of
about
it.
it.
Critical thinking over knowledge, right?
Yeah, well, because it's all part of the like facts and your feelings and knowing how to regulate fact and feeling in your thought process,
Right.
right?
But it's a good developmental like skill, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
you have to have that skill to be successful as an adult.
yeah, and in schools, that's one of the things that they teach you, right? Because they're always saying, like, what do you think the author meant in this? Or
Yes.
what's your, what do you think this book meant? Or what do you think they were trying to say on this speech? Like, it's to make you start thinking and realizing or seeing things from a certain point of view. Or later on in life, it's your knowledge things.
Yeah.
Authors are
But
here for knowledge or living or experiencing things.
but knowledge is really, I mean, do you think that knowledge is learned in a book or experienced?
I think the
Or is that
best
wisdom?
knowledge. Yeah, I guess. Wow. Yeah, I was gonna say. I guess knowledge is more to learn, like going through it, living through it, right? Not through a book. But you do get a lot of knowledge also from a book, because you could be completely lost, not know something, read about it, learn about it, and then when you're faced to it, you're like, oh yeah, well you can do this, do that.
But are you wise?
I think wise is more of how much you've lived it, right? How much you've done it. That's being wise.
Okay.
You just added another level to it. What was that? That was that one hockey player that had that one clip that it was hilarious that I loved. There's like knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit.
Yeah. And wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad.
Yeah, in a fruit salad. Yeah, and wisdom. Yeah, exactly. Wisdom is knowing not to put it on a fruit salad.
Yeah.
Like, wow, right? When I heard that, I was like, that's the best example of,
Yeah,
wisdom
because somebody
and
probably tried
knowing.
it and it didn't taste good.
Yeah, but how did they get there?
Yeah, because they tried
Because they
tried it.
tried it, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
tried it. They tried it, and they were like, no,
No, that doesn't
no,
work.
this doesn't work. I mean,
And and we as parents, I guess we can tie in the whole concept of being overprotective versus trying to keep our kids safe into this as well, because like when our kids and their learning and their little thought processes, like you're saying, as parents, there's lots of parents who are just kind of hovering, overprotecting, kind of wanting to walk with their kids and everything that they do to make sure that their kid is safe,
right.
versus the parent who spits some knowledge and then lets their kid do whatever with that, and then there's also the parents who actually say nothing and just lets their kid figure out life on their own.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if which one's right. I guess society, the direction society has gone, maybe kind of tells us that the overprotection is bad.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I've said this before. Like, look at the football team, right? Mm-hmm. There's the coach can't talk to the kids a certain way because the parents are like, oh no, how dare you scream at my kid, or how dare you raise your voice at my kid, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, they need that, they need that push, and need to realize that this is hard. This is not. It's gonna be easy,
Yeah.
like.
Well, and that's compared to other schools, right? Because there's other schools where you hear the coaches yelling and cursing at the kids, and those kids play better.
Yeah, but and it's funny though because oh man, it's just like sometimes I just feel like it's a cultural thing too.
Yeah.
It's just
okay.
It's like who can take it better, right? Like who's like. It's like I definitely noticed that, like, when you go to a more school with more, minorities, I guess you would say, right? It's you get a lot of those coaches, like that tough love, that thing that pushes them, that stern to the point, and they get through their head and they get it done. And then when you go to the more sheltered group, more, I guess, upper class, privileged, yeah, parents make more money or whatever, and they're more protective. They're the ones that are like, oh, it's okay, just go out there and have fun and give it your best, and oh, good try, and then you definitely see it once they meet up with the other ones. There's a night and day difference. They're hungry and you're not. And they're not. And they end up getting stomped and kicked all over the field. And now they're crying and
they're angry that they lost.
Angry, they don't know how to do, and
they don't know how to deal. And that relates just even at home, right? So you've got those kids who have everything, and then the one time they get denied something, it's like the world is ending, right? Because they got denied something. And I'm not just talking about in sports. I'm talking just at home.
No, just in life, yeah.
Just
period,
in life,
yeah.
period. And then when they become
I really
adults,
want that new video game.
Yeah.
It comes out on Tuesday. Well, I can't get it for you on Tuesday. Well, how dare you? And
all my friends have it already. Why can't you get it for me?
Right.
And it's like, and there's those parents who apologize for it. And they're like, I'm sorry, I promise I'll, get it for you soon. And then there's the other parents who are like, you don't demand anything from me. Like, who the heck do you think you're talking to?
Yeah.
It's like, you're not going to get it ever now. So I do that to the kids. Like, sometimes they'll just ask and ask and ask for something. And be like, if you ask me one more time,
that's it.
I'm never going to get it. Because I told you I will get it at the end of the week, or I told you I'll get it in 2 weeks, or I told you when I would get it. And we're not there yet.
It's funny you said that. You saying that makes me think about like me as a kid, and I know a lot of. I think this is why there's so many collectors of toys nowadays. I think it's one of those psychological, subconscious kind of things. Because when you're a kid, I was like, I really want that He-Man, Mom. I really want that He-Man. Can I get that He-Man? Can I get that He-Man? No. You've been bad about you don't get it, and so you don't get it. You're like, but then you grow up, you're like, well, now I make money, and He-Man's there at the shelves, and I can buy it myself now. And I'm going to buy this because I always wanted this as a kid. I always wanted that as a kid. I remember for me, my first set of He-Man's, our Star Wars toys, were bought at a secondhand store. Like, there's just markets in Mexico called Sodas Ruedas. Yeah. And like little gypsies, they move around neighborhoods every day, different days. And they go around and, it's kind of like, I don't know, they got it from a donation, or they stole it from some house, or, some trash can. Somebody was throwing away some toys and they put them out there to sell. And it's a market. And, I remember my mom walking by and said, oh, I know he wanted that toy. He-Man was faded as hell, he had no eyebrows, like a chola, and it was like his hair was kind of like not blonde anymore. It was a little orange. He had bald spots. The legs were all floppy. But hey, I had a He-Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, I got He-Man.
But see, that's a completely different level of appreciation also because, when you're a kid who has never had something brand new and you've just always gotten something handed down to you and you still appreciate it, and then you finally get something new as an adult, you just treasure it so much versus kids who have gotten something new all their lives. They're total brats as adults because they
Oh
can't
yeah, they don't
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can't appreciate it. And even as kids, they don't appreciate it. Like, I don't think our kids have ever gotten anything. Okay, our firstborn has never gotten anything secondhand. Because he was the first, and there were literally no other kids his age, to hand down things to him.
The girls got dolls. Remember, baby
Our
dolls? They're creepy as hell. Everybody's afraid of them.
Okay, so the 22-year-old,
Yeah, from my
the
sister.
22-year-old, she got a doll from your sister that our kids, we still have this doll. They call it Gabby Gabby because her eyes blink. But our 12-year-old son has hated that doll since he was like 3.
Yeah.
All right. He has been afraid of that doll. He said he's not afraid of it anymore. But any time he would see the doll, he would flip her upside down, cover her with a pillow. He just couldn't stand.
Right.
Because
old doll.
She's old. Her hair is all tattered and she's got this little old lady dress on, like 70s flower pattern. Just with little white lace on it. And her eyes don't quite blink right anymore.
But see, he thinks it's evil, and we know it's just an old toy.
We just know it's an old toy. To him, it's evil. But babe, he's the kid that sees things. So maybe there's something there. Yeah. He is never like that. But our daughters love that doll.
Yeah, they talk to her, play with her.
Yeah, they play with her all the time.
Braid her hair.
Yeah, well, they try. Really, her hair is that badly tattered. And that's another level of knowledge versus thought. Like, our daughters just think that this is just a plaything, whereas our son believes that it's evil.
Yeah.
Right? That's a different level of thought. That's on a different plane even, because he functions just on a different level.
His third eye is wide open.
Yeah. So he in his head, he's like, that thing is evil. Keep it away from me. Yeah. Like he hates that doll. Well, he used to. Again, he told me recently he doesn't hate it anymore. I'm pretty sure I've smudged it a couple of times.
We should make him watch one of those scary movies with the dolls or possessed and stuff and see how they act afterwards. Maybe
they'll get rid of that doll finally.
Because you know what, people? It's just about that time for Halloween.
And it's coming around the corner.
My favorite holiday.
I know, we totally got off subject.
We already went to Spirit.
Oh my gosh, I know.
We already walked around one Spirit. We got many
Halloween
more to go.
Costume already bought.
And out of that costume, we started watching the new Scream movies or the latest Scream movies.
Yeah.
That's
man. Crazy. Okay.
Yeah, off topic. Well, thinking and knowing.
Yeah, thinking versus knowing versus facts versus feeling. And I know that a lot of teachers, when you become a teacher, you take all these childhood development classes, and there's a certain age where kids are mature enough to handle certain things, right? That's why they tell you, the different ratings for television and even music on children so that their brains can handle it, right? And I guess it's the same just with topics of conversation. Are you looking something up?
Yeah, I wanted to know what, like if I just did like a Google search about thinking and knowing and see what it would tell me. Like it's just thinking and knowing are related in several ways. So it says including that thinking requires knowing, knowledge can replace thinking, thinking can lead to knowledge, and confidence is the difference between thinking and knowing.
You know what? I'm listening to this, and I don't know if it's deja vu or if we've literally already talked about this.
Intelligence test measure thinking, which achievement of the test measures knowing.
And if we've talked about this, people, we apologize.
Well, I mean, we've been going for a little over a year, so
Yeah, this
some
is
subjects
episode 68.
will come around, and some subjects will come through, and so
We'll repeat ourselves.
yeah,
Trying not to, but I mean, it's just bound to happen.
yeah. So yeah, I just wanted. I was like, for like knowledge can replace thinking. So for example, knowing that 2 + 2 = 4, it means that you don't need to think about it again because you already know.
Okay, so yeah, so like a little kid, like our 6-year-old, she's still using her fingers, right? Even though I admit sometimes I still use my fingers too. But, she'll have like 10, and I'm telling her, okay, now put that into, now pick a certain amount of fingers to take away. So she'll close like 2 fingers. But in her head, she's now got 5 and 3, not 8. So that's a thought process that she's still learning at 6. Like, okay, I had 10, I took away 2, now I have 5 and 3, instead of saying now I have 8.
Right. Well, for me, I remember my trick. So I never
For the 9s?
Yeah, for the 9s.
Yeah,
I never took the time to learn the 9 table because I had this trick with my hand. So that's me knowing that if I go like, I pull out my 10 fingers. I don't know. Do you guys know this trick? Like you put out your both your palms, right? And you got 10 fingers sticking up, right? 9 times 1. So you put 1 finger down and you look at what you have left and you have 9 fingers. So I try to teach that to the kids. That's my knowledge, right?
Yeah.
That's my knowledge of them trying to teach it.
I think this would work better on a video so people can see what you're talking about. But
if you're listening to this, just sit there and just try to figure it out with your fingers. And then you'll be like, holy crap.
If you didn't already know
if you didn't know this, you'd be like, witchcraft, burn him.
And it only works with the 9s.
Only with the 9, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's your knowledge. That's something that you've lived and learned, your wisdom.
That was my worst times table when my dad was so strict with times table.
Yeah.
That when I figured that out, I was like, what?
Well, you figured it out, and now you're trying to teach the kids. I don't think they ever do it, though. They don't remember it. Because you'll need to reteach it to our 8-year-old because she's learning the times tables right now. So, but my point was that, our 6-year-old is still learning.
Now, so you've been using the kids, right? Between your thinking and knowing. I find myself sometimes like thinking because I don't know, like on certain things when it comes to parenting. I think we all go through that, right? But then I also notice that it's true when they say about old people, right? They end up being kids again because a lot of times they think that they know better.
Oh yes, this is true.
But they don't. They're not realizing, they don't know what they're thinking about.
Yeah,
on the decisions or the way that they're going about things.
I think it depends on how they grew up. Like, I think if they were just a naive person in general, I mean, this is something we run into at home, where my mom, she loves YouTube and she's always on YouTube learning everything from YouTube, but she believes everything she hears.
Right.
So I know
because it was on YouTube.
Because it was on YouTube, right?
But that's one of those things where when, like, she's an older person. So before, the TV was their source of news and information.
Yes. So, and so you got those people who believe the TV.
So they believe the TV,
like
right?
they believe their phone.
Yeah. So then the phone now, or the tablet or the laptop is a TV now because they're on YouTube. Although they show news and they show information and they're in educational stuff. So they believe and they think that what they're watching
is true.
It's true
fact.
because it is. Yeah, because that's how it was when they were younger.
Yeah. And like with my mom, even more so, it's kind of, and I'm not just saying just my mom. I think a child, when you see your parents aging and you hear these individuals who you thought were the most intelligent people in the world, right? Because it's your mom and your dad and everything they say is perfect. And maybe how much their words were valued by other people because of whatever their job was, whatever their influence was on the community at some point, even in church, amongst their friends, peers, family members. And then they reach a certain age where they themselves now no longer make sense. I feel like I'm listening to my teenager sometimes talking nonsense when I hear my mom talk. And I'm just like, I have 45 years of listening to you, and what you just said makes no sense. So, so
Yeah.
I,
I know that I can't speak from experience because I'm not in that situation. So
well, I just think it's common for us who have our parents aging and we're watching them age, we're hearing them age. And I know it's only going to get worse because, you know, her mom, my grandmother, died of Alzheimer's. You know, she died with dementia. So it's probable that my mom will go down the same road if she doesn't take better care of herself. And it's just a reality I'm going to have to deal with at some point, that her knowledge, her wisdom will fade. You know, or she'll just remember all the old stuff, because that seems to be what happens, right? Is the wisdom from the old times stays, but everything new goes away. Right? And now they're no longer able to think proper thoughts or complete thoughts, you know, just because their brain cells are dying. So does that mean our teenagers' brain cells are
they're not
dead?
developed yet.
They're not developed. I get
Or
those
is that?
neuron
Yeah,
connections haven't
because
been made yet.
the other thing also you got to remember is that, um, what is it? Their central lobe,
The frontal
the
lobe.
frontal lobe
Mm-hmm.
doesn't fully develop until you're what 23.
In the 20s.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so they're still. I mean, technically, they're
Which is
still
why head
babies.
injuries are such a big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, so they're still learning. They're still developing. You know, they're not done.
Isn't that crazy when you think about how now we know that the frontal lobe continues to develop until your early 20s? I mean, we used to say that a man isn't fully done growing until he's like in 25, I think, or something like
24,
that.
yeah, 24.
And girls younger.
Or 18,
But
I think. Now
now
that
now
around
they
here.
say that women are also older. I haven't read up on the facts for all that, but now we also say that the frontal lobe, it doesn't finish developing until that same, for everyone, frontal lobe doesn't finish developing until early 20s. Yet once upon a time we were giving people lobotomies and getting rid of the frontal lobe because people, family members even, just didn't want to deal with the emotions that are controlled by the frontal lobe, or in their opinion not being controlled by the frontal lobe, so they do a lobotomy to help, you know, fix that, you know, or kill them.
All right, to correct like their behavior or the way they're thinking or handling things.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know, so I'm just gonna go like a basic search right here. The frontal lobe is the largest lobe of the human brain, and it is responsible for many important functions, including your movement, your language, your executive functions, and your social skills, as along as with your personality. So it is located in the front of the brain, directly behind your forehead. It is made of four major gyri, which is superior, medial, and inferior frontal gyri, and the perceptual gyrus.
Gyrus.
Yeah, gyrus. Damage to the frontal lobe can cause range of issues, including motor weakness and expressive aphasia. So yeah, I mean, so the frontal lobe is a very important one. I mean, just personality and social skills.
Yeah.
Like, think
Well,
about it. Like,
yeah.
social skills,
Well,
and we push that on little kids.
yeah.
Like, go out there, make friends. You know, be amicable and be social. Try to, you know. But we're talking about this is not fully done function, like developing until your mid-20s.
But in that like social development, we'll do social development because I think our kids are socially awkward because we're socially awkward. Well, I'm socially awkward. So social skills are a skill because you have to learn them. If you are not exposed to other people, if you're not forced to be social, you know, with different types of people, you become socially awkward. You don't know how to speak in certain situations, how to act in certain situations, and then you come off as
Shit, apparently my frontal lobe is still not done developing because I
well.
have moments where, like, for example, last night there was other parents around and I'm I'm trying to be, I don't know, I guess joking, but then afterwards, I'm realizing like that was awkward. Or I
Well,
shouldn't have said that.
I don't know that you're socially awkward. I think for you it's just that you say what you feel and you say what you think.
Mm-hmm.
You're not necessarily thinking about what other people are thinking. And I can sympathize with that because I have done that to a different level than you do, but I
Right.
have caught myself saying things that make sense in my head and everybody else is looking at me like, huh? What? And maybe it even comes off, here in our conversation sometimes where I'll go rambling off on something where I think I'm making sense in my head and it might not come across clearly. But for you, my point is that I think for you, it's just that you learned to speak your mind.
Right.
It's not necessarily that you're socially awkward because you're very social. Like you love people. Like
What?
when you were growing up, like you weren't in a clique. Like you didn't have like one group of friends that thought just like you. Like you could
I still don't.
move around. Yeah, well that's what I'm saying. But when you're socially awkward, you can't do that. Like you can't be friends with the jocks and the nerds and the emo kids. You can't do it, right? You can't go between groups when you're socially awkward. Right? You only stick to what you know and what you're
right.
comfortable with. And those who are comfortable with you, right? Me, well, I don't know. I didn't really have a clique growing up. All the girls in our group were different. We had some cholas and we had some white girls and we had like the goody goody girls, and so we had a kind of like a mix of personalities.
Yeah.
So
Different
I
group
can't
of
say that we really had a clique that I grew up in. I had my church group of friends, but I always felt awkward around them. Do you know what I mean? Like I never
because you got to
felt-
know them, right? You got to talk to them. You got to see where they came from, what they thought, what their point of views were, and you probably felt like you couldn't.
I couldn't relate.
Yeah, you really couldn't be yourself around them, right? Because your point of views or the way that you saw things were totally completely different than
Well,
them.
and I was raised pretty sheltered. Like my friends would be talking about all these freedoms that they had,
Right.
and I had no
And certain
relation
things
to that.
So you had both extremes, other people that are more sheltered, other people that are more free and more wild, and you were like, oh, I can't relate to that,
Yeah.
I can't see myself doing that.
Yeah.
Or
And then if I did do any of that, it was like, oh my God, you did what?
yeah.
you know?
So, it was too extreme for others or too sheltered for others. So you're like the medium.
It's
right?
like not being Hispanic enough for the Hispanics and not
don't
being
get me
white
started.
enough for the
Yeah,
white.
Don't get me
It's
started.
like
with
the
that
same
one.
thing.
I hate that.
But that's all part of, I don't know. I know thinking and wisdom and knowledge and your facts and your feelings, being overprotected versus a parent who's just trying to keep, their kids safe. All of that gets intermingled in life as we're raising our kids, as we're just growing up in general and just trying to live our lives. And there's no rule book on which is the right way to do it, right? Socially, we can say, don't overprotect your kids because it makes them weak. Teach facts because facts lead to knowledge and wisdom, right? And then you've got the other group of people who are saying the opposite.
No, yeah, well, it's kind of like going back to making the joke about thinking and knowing, right? Like, I think that an ass whooping will,
We'll fix that
will
situation.
fix it, but then I know that an ass whooping will scar them and cause issues down the road.
Well, I guess it depends on the ass whooping. Yeah, that's
it's that's. I mean, it seems extreme, but I mean that's a way of looking.
Well, like,
one example.
I
just to
had-
think about it.
I remember when we first had our kids, when we first became parents, I would post some stuff on Facebook. Was it MySpace? I don't even remember what it was back then, but it was either Facebook or MySpace. One of those platforms.
MySpace went down
right before we got together.
No,
Okay,
right when you were like pregnant.
Oh, okay. So then it was Facebook, and I posted something, and an old coworker chimed in on what I was saying about parenting, like my frustrations about parenting. And this person didn't have children, right? So I was pretty taken aback by their commentary or their advice. I was like, who the hell are you to tell me that I shouldn't spank my child for this behavior because of whatever trauma you think I'm going to incur, like I beat them or something. Like I'm not beating them.
But maybe they were.
I understand that, which is why I never said anything to them. But in my head, I remember being mad about it because I was like, who the heck are you to tell me? You don't even have kids. Right? And then my psychology stuff kicks in, and then I'm like, okay, well, they probably don't have kids, and they are the way they are because of childhood trauma. So,
Right.
You
That's
know,
what I was thinking.
Yeah. So in my head, I just automatically go down that spiral. And so I was like, okay, they probably have childhood trauma. So they're assuming the worst.
Right.
If I go and say I'm going to spank my kid. Right. And that was it. And I actually stopped talking to that person just because I just didn't want to deal with their trauma. You know what I mean?
Were you ever spanked as a kid?
Of course.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I was spanked. I mean,
I think most people our age were spanked as kids.
I think most Hispanic kids get spanked.
Black kids, brown kids, definitely we've been spanked.
Asians get spanked.
Asians
too.
get spanked.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've
I
all.
know like when I like the.
What about the Islanders?
When my Filipino, oh yeah, they get the good ass whoopings.
Yeah.
They get the good ass whoopings.
So just not the Caucasians. I think it depends on where you're from.
Yeah.
If you're getting hit.
Yeah,
spanked.
like if you're from like
the South,
like a small town like ranch, yeah, you probably got ass whooped.
Just
if you're from a
the
city,
East Coast.
if you're from a city or uppity scale, not
Big
middle
city,
class, upper
city
middle
kids,
class,
yeah.
definitely. I don't think they got some ass whoopings, So
and that's like a different. Oh gosh, the knowledge. The wisdom that comes with knowing the difference between a beating and just a general spanking because you've been a bad kid, and you're being disrespectful. And then people say, oh, well, hitting doesn't solve anything. I'm like, my kids behave very well compared to yours. So I know spankings work.
Being hard on the kids or expecting certain things from them. They get a lecture or something and people are always like, my dad's other family, like, oh, easy there, Sarge, like you're being such a sergeant or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then I'll be like, hey, I don't tell you how to raise your kids. You don't tell me how to raise my kids. Mm-hmm. I bet you my kids are going to probably end up better than your kids because of that discipline. And I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason why they still don't like me.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that when they were like, un sargento mal pagado.
Yeah.
Well, in English, that means a badly paid sergeant.
No, that was when I was in a bad mood. But they called me Sarge when I was just being too strict.
Too strict with the kids.
Yeah.
And again, that's like old people forgetting how strict they were with their own kids.
Like my pop saying, I never whooped you.
I know. My mom has told me the same thing. I never did that. She even tells me she doesn't remember ever cooking certain things for us. But like, Mom, like, you totally used to make this dish all the time. I never did. Like, yes, you did, but I think that's just her memory.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah.
That's just her memory's gone.
Of course.
But my childhood knowledge or recollection and wisdom.
She thinks she never spanked you or she never did that for you, but you know that.
I know she did. Yeah. Yes, I know she did.
Yeah, I never spanked you. Like,
come on, thought versus knowledge.
Chief. Come on, Chief.
Thought versus knowledge. And we're not condoning spanking. We're not saying go and spank your kids, like, well, I don't know. Some kids really need to be spanked, brought back down to reality. I mean, come on. We've met those kids where
let's be serious.
That kid needs a beating.
Not a beating.
Not
just
a beating.
Okay, easy with the words. Next thing you know, the cops are going to be knocking at the door being like, excuse me, were you talking about whooping your ass and beating your kids?
No, I didn't say ours.
It was just a conversation.
Some kids
like,
need
nah, we got you on record. You're going to jail. Like that. Social services coming in for the kids and shit.
I'd be like, you're going to give me a vacation? I get a vacation from the kids.
I get 3 square meals and shelter.
I get vacation.
Some people are like, oh, I can't believe you guys are making fun. Loosen up, people. It's a joke.
Yes, it's
fucking
a joke.
Around.
It's a joke.
Oh, my goodness. And it's funny that we had to say that too, right? To like,
I know.
because we had to.
There's so many podcasts I listen to, and they always have to throw in disclaimers like, people were joking. Please don't take us seriously. We would never do that. But deep down inside, they're like, oh God, I can't believe I have to say this.
Yeah, one of my favorite memes is saying like, oh, I can't be myself because you get offended, and you wanna get me fired or you want to get me locked up, but then you go spend like over $100 on comedy tickets where the guy pretty much
is roasting you,
is doing the same shit, but you're paying for it.
Do people
I'm doing it for you for free?
Do people ever sue comedians? I'm sure they do.
There has been a couple. I think there's been a couple of that. I mean, that's where you have those videos of those hecklers that end up getting kicked out, because I don't think that's funny.
That's appropriate, funny, yeah. It's like, then what are you doing here? Get out.
Yeah, like, what do you expect?
We haven't been to a comedy. My brother keeps trying to get us to go to that. Is that Magic Castle or whatever?
Oh, I don't know what that is, to be honest.
It's a comedy place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love comedy. I do. I love stand-up comedy. It's one of my favorite things. Yeah, but I'm also kind of afraid,
Well, you just don't want to get picked on.
Yeah,
that's why you sit in the back, not in the front.
I don't want to get picked on.
You just don't sit in the front. My brother will probably totally make us sit in the front.
Because I know me too.
Because you don't take it well.
Nah. Well, I mean, I don't know what that means. That sounded kind of a little ditty right there.
You don't take. I mean, you don't. If somebody comes at you.
I just think that
you don't take it well.
Yeah, the moment you cross that, I was like, okay, you got it out.
But
now you got to take mine.
But if you're at a comedy place, you're just supposed to sit there and take it.
Yeah, no, I paid for you to make me laugh, not for you to fucking roast me.
Well,
there's a difference.
That's funny though to other people.
Yeah, to other people.
Right? Because if they're roasting somebody else, you're laughing.
Oh no, I mean, I'll laugh, but don't be upset if I make a joke back at you.
But you're not supposed to.
And that's what I'm afraid of. Yeah, see, exactly.
But you're not supposed to.
But that's just me. I'm a shit talker.
Well,
I'm a shit talker. You're gonna just
and again, this comes down to this was your question about your frontal lobe, right? This is just bad training. Yeah. This is just bad manners. This is our last conversation where you just have bad manners.
Is it manners when you're
rude?
When they're being rude to you, you're being funny with you. Okay, we're friends now. We're fucking fishing buddies now. So guess what, fishing buddy?
Well, I don't know. Like boys function on a different level, right? Because you guys beat each other up to be friends.
Alpha male.
Yeah, but you guys beat each other up to be friends, whereas girls are weird. Girls are spiteful.
Yeah, I never seen
evil.
Girls go around and punching each other in the boobs or on the crotch.
No.
Yeah,
no, they just are mean.
Do girls ever come around them and like hump each other?
Gross.
Yeah, see?
I have had a girl grab my butt before. Actually, a couple of girls grabbed my butt that were my friends. Whenever I'd wear like certain jeans.
Right.
And then they'd grab it was always really weird.
# me too.
Yeah, yes. I was being harassed by my friends, right? Be like, what was that for? They're like, it's just your butt looks so cute in those jeans. I'm like, why are you grabbing my butt? Like, I don't do it.
There you go, see? Oh, hey, bro, your dick looks so good in those jeans. Let me see. Oh, balls.
There's only like 2 girls who have ever done this to me, and it was always weird.
That's just hilarious.
It was always weird.
I mean, guys do kind of hit each other in the ass all the time. I mean, we see it all the time on TV,
football,
right?
and
baseball. Grab ass.
That's so weird. I don't know. Okay, we totally got off subject, but I don't even know what else to say about thought versus wisdom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey guys.
We were starting on the whole.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, I got a question. When are you too old for an ass whooping?
Oh, I don't know.
What's the age? What is there?
We've agreed that it's like once you're a tween, you're too old.
Yeah. So I see a lot of like videos on Instagram where like people still make those funny videos about getting their ass beat by their parents. Yeah, with the belt and everything. And you look at how many likes and how many comments they have. I was like, okay, so by those numbers, there's a lot of people
who lived it
that have gone through it, right?
Yes.
That they've experienced it and they find it funny.
Yeah.
So,
You know,
I know I'm not alone.
I got hit one time. I don't know if I've said this before, by my friend's dad because he thought I was the sister.
Oh,
And we were being too loud. He didn't know I was over. And my friend and I were in her room just giggling, throwing things at each other, just having a good time. We were like 9 or 10 when this happened. And he had been napping because he'd had a long day at work. And we're in there being loud. And he just comes in with the belt and just starts swinging the belt. And we're both like laying down on the floor, like tossing things in the air. And the door opened right at our feet. And he just starts whipping us with the belt. But it didn't even hurt. It was funny. And then he's like, Mom, Dad, it's Chantel. And he's like, stop hitting her. And he's like, and then like it dawned on him that I wasn't the sister.
At that moment, he fucked up.
He, from then on, that dad, every time he'd see me, he'd be like praising me. Ay, mija, whatever you need, whatever you want. Just please don't get me in trouble. But I was laughing the whole time because it didn't even hurt. You know, it was just like an air whip.
No, it was more like trying to scare you.
Yeah,
guys,
it was like
showing you he's frustrated.
Yeah, it was just like an air whipping,
and now you let me know he's Hispanic. So our dad would never hit his daughter like that. They just pretend to go through the motions. So like just to scare them. Like, oh, my daddy was gonna hit me. But then if you were boys, or if it was a mom. I mean,
Well, he hit our legs because our legs were by the door. You know, our feet were at the door and it just opened right in there. And he hit our legs, but it didn't hurt, you know. And it was just, that was my one time getting hit by my friend's dad. And it was only because he thought I was the sister. And it was just funny. And he used to call me Chantilly Lace. That's what he used to call me. He always felt bad afterwards. So...
Yeah. Hashtag me too.
Chantilly
Lace, a little girl. Think
what?
About damn song.
I don't
know. It's creeper status.
I don't know. He just always used to call me Chantilly because my name is Chantel.
Well, that's cool.
I don't know. I never thought it was weird. I didn't think it was weird. That's just what he always called me. So, anyways, I don't know. Okay, I guess we're done with this subject.
All right.
You're just staring at me like...
No, just like, just awkward.
I don't know.
So awkward right now.
I don't know why you felt awkward. It's just what he used to call me. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. It was just a song.
No, it's a lyric from a song.
Okay. He's an old man. It wasn't... Why you have to make it weird? It wasn't meant to be weird.
What's the Chantilly Lace?
It's just a song.
What is Chantilly Lace?
The name of a girl?
No.
I don't know what Chantilly Lace is.
Oh my God. English
it's a type of lace. It's a type of lace.
Yeah, like the nightgown things, like the little see-through kind of mesh things. That's a lace. That's just a Chantilly Lace.
I'm sorry. I always
Chantilly Lace and a pretty face with a wiggle and a walk.
Chantilly Lace with the pretty face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just never thought it was anything wrong with it. Like, I don't... Why you have to ruin the song for me?
I'm not ruining it. That song's been like this in the 50s.
You're ruining it for me. And yeah, if it was written in the 50s, it wasn't supposed to be naughty.
It was the Big Bopper.
I love the Big Bopper. He wrote the purple people.
Yeah,
Purple people eater.
You can't even say it anymore.
He was a purple people eater. See, you're ruining my childhood.
Yeah, man.
Gonna make it all weird.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. Anyways, thought versus knowledge
versus knowledge.
Yeah, my childhood thoughts were just ruined by my husband's understanding or wisdom of something. Ruined.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into Chantilly Lace then.
I was just what he called me because my name was Chantel and it rhymed.
No, I get it. It goes with the song. But yeah, I just...
Okay, fine. Forget it. We're done. Everyone, have a good night. Thank you for listening.
All right, everyone. Take
Okay.
care.
Bye.
Till next time.
Bye.